Hello everyone, my name is Nashom and welcome to my channel Let's Get Psyched. In our previous video, we saw how to take case history while conducting a psychological test. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you about how you can administer instructions while you conduct a psychological test. Let's begin. What are instructions? So before somebody actually takes a psychological test, they need to be told what exactly are they going to do while taking a psychological test. Some tests require a subject to answer questions, some tests require them to just pick an option, some tests actually require them to perform something. As the test administrator, it is your duty to convey the procedure or the process for taking the test to the individual who is going to do it. Usually when you have a test, the test has a test booklet and then we have an answer sheet or there is a test manual. So the instructions are either printed on this or sometimes you are given the instructions in the test manual and you have to know them by heart and then speak it out verbally to your test taker. Sometimes the instructions are an entire page. So instructions come in varied forms. It's on you to give the instructions. So sometimes you have to just read them, sometimes you have to by heart them. It depends from test to test. Now, why are they important? So instructions are important because every test has certain procedure which needs to be followed. You may ask question, why can't the test taker read it himself or herself? So over here the problem is that sometimes a test taker may skip, because if the page, it's an entire page, they may just skip certain paragraphs. Sometimes they may misunderstand what's being asked of them. Sometimes they may have questions which they may not know whom to ask to. So in these cases, it is much better if you as a test administrator read out the instructions so you can be assured that your test taker is listening to them, and if there are any queries you can answer them. If there is any misunderstanding, you can clear them. Another good point in asking or in taking instructions is that the instructions usually have like a demo or a trial question which the subject or the test taker will solve in front of you, so you can look and see whether they're doing it correct. Sometimes a test requires you to fill in a particular box. Sometimes it requires you to put a cross. Sometimes it requires you to put a tick. Sometimes you actually have to write the answer on the statement. Okay. So when you do this demo questions, okay, you understand or you are assured that the test taker or the subject knows what he or she has to do during the test. Over here I have a sample for the instructions for an intelligence test, that's Raven Standard Progressive Matrices. So over here you can see the instructions. Alright, for this particular test the instructions are not written in the booklet. You have to actually say them out by heart to your test taker. Now usually you will have certain things in a bracket, like you have to pause, or then in italics where it's the procedure and you don't have to read it out. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you a test item. This is the test item. This is the first item in Raven Standard Progressive Matrices booklet. Okay, so using this as an example, you're supposed to give instructions to your subject. So now you observe how I am giving the instructions. Okay, so you will begin in the following pages. You can see certain patterns and figures. A part of the pattern is missing. Given below are 6 options, out of which 1 is the correct option. Your task is to choose from the 6 options below the correct option and write the option on your answer sheet. Okay, now what you have to do is you have to actually ask the subject which amongst these 6 options completes the pattern on top. So then the subject will tell you his or her answer. Suppose the subject says option number 4. So then you continue giving instructions. Yes, option number 4 is the correct option. Write down number 4 in your answer sheet. Alright. Now if your subject says option number 2 is the correct option, because they feel sometimes it is matching, the patterns are matching, so it's option number 2. In that case, what you have to say is option number 2 is the wrong answer. Option number 2 does not complete the figure. Option number 4 completes the figure. That's why option number 4 is the correct answer. Sometimes the subject may say option number 6. Again, you have to say option number 6 is incorrect because it does not entirely complete the picture. A part of it is still missing. So it's not option number 6, option number 4 is the correct answer. After this, you also have to continue the instructions. So the instructions goes like this. Initially the questions are easy, but as you progress, they increase in difficulty level. There is no time limit, but do as fast as possible. Then you stop and you ask, do you have any queries? Have you understood? Okay. So I have given you like a small demo of how instructions are to be given. Let's look at some tips to remember while you're giving your instructions. So number 1 is speak clearly and in a medium pace. Usually as students, because you by-hearted, you tend to go much faster than the subject is listening. Point where necessary, okay, talk clearly and talk slowly, like not very slowly also, but at a medium pace. Pauses are very important because after you say a especially long sentence, it is important to pause and look at the subject whether they have understood what you are saying. Make eye contact with the test taker. This also is applied to when you are reading. So suppose there's a booklet and you're reading from the booklet, you tend to ignore your test taker and just read, what's happening, don't do that. So read one sentence, look at your test taker. Is he or she understanding what you are talking about? Read the non-verbal cues that the test taker is displaying. Okay, sometimes your subject will not ask you, but you may see it in his or her face that they are frowning or they're looking at you puzzled कि क्या बोल रहे हो आप, मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. जब ऐसा होता है तो आप रुको. Okay, you can pause your instructions, look at the test taker and ask, well, do you want me to repeat myself? Are you finding certain things difficult? Okay, so make eye contact with your subject. See what your subject is, displaying, whether they are understanding. So sometimes when people understand, they nod. So if they are nodding, that means they are understanding, and then you go ahead. Another important tip to remember is time limit. Okay, so some tests have time limits, some tests don't have. In both cases, you're supposed to let the subject know. So if there is no time limit, you say, like I said before, there is no time limit, but do as fast as possible. Or when there is a time limit, you say, I'm going to start your time in another 1 minute, and then you have 30 seconds, or then you have 30 minutes, or then you have 5 minutes. Whatever is the time limit, you're supposed to let your test taker know. Now, usually while conducting psychological tests, we encourage the use of pencils. Why? Because sometimes people may want to change their answer. So with a pencil, you can provide an eraser. They can erase and they can change their answer. It is your responsibility to provide a pencil and eraser to your test taker. So always be prepared with a pencil and an eraser. And if the subject says that they want to erase an answer, that is allowed. Okay, it's not like once you fill in वो ही फिक्स आंसर है, ऐसा नहीं है. आपका सब्जेक्ट आपका खुद का आंसर बदल सकता है और वो आगे पीछे भी कर सकता है. ओके, डिपेंडिंग इफ द टेस्ट अलाउज इट. You should always ask your test taker whether they have queries. If they have, then you should resolve them. Okay, so your aim in giving instructions should be that your test taker thoroughly understands what he or she has to do. That is your aim, and that is the purpose of the instructions, for the subject to understand what he or she is supposed to do, what is the procedure, and not to have any misunderstandings regarding the test procedure or the test items. So in today's video, we took a look at how to give instructions before administering a psychological test. I hope that the video was helpful, and look forward for more such videos on scoring and test administration. Thank you.